little more irritated now about the little 3-game losing skid, especially, you know, when it's just, you know, defend, rebound, defend, and run?
I think I turned into a Twitter guy, you know, which means that I forgot about everything that happened yesterday. I'm just worried about today. But I looked at it like, you know, you got to remember. I mean, I thought we played pretty well at Purdue for most of that game, and that's a good team we lost to. And the next 2 games, I think, taught us that if we're not ready to play every day, and we're not ready to do the things that we do to be successful, which is defend, rebound, and run, make free throws, all the little things that you talk about. Sometimes you hope it isn't to the point where you need your eyes open, but I think for a little reason we had our eyes open. So frustrating. It was frustrating when it happened. It's not frustrating now. I used it as a learning thing. I think our team has learned a lot.
Tom, when you started that game the other night, you were a game out of first place. By the end of the night, everyone's tied again. Yeah. Is it just kind of how it's going to go this, or?
Well, there was a young coach, I guess old coach now, that told you guys a long time ago, I thought 4 or 5 losses would win the league, you know, and I don't think anybody is appreciating 2 things: how good the league is, top to bottom, and how hard it is to play 20 games and stay focused at a high level each and every game. I mean, I said it early, I said it before we even started playing, that it is such a difficult task. 2 more conference games. I said it's like 4 good non-conference games, and I think a lot of coaches in the league would agree. So it is crazy what happened. You know, Duke almost gets beat, Kentucky gets beat at home. It's the time of year, you know, that mid-February, it's the dog days a little bit. Hopefully we had some of ours and we woke up from it, and I think a lot of teams are looking at the same thing.
When you have the return games for a team like Ohio State, how do things change in that? What have you seen different maybe from Ohio State this
Well,
time?
you look at what you did last time and what you had success, what they had success. But I will tell you this, they got 2 guys playing a lot better than they had when we first played them. And those guys are a big part of their team now. Before they were just kind of auxiliary people. So I think they're a better team than we played. They went through their 4 or 5 game losing streak and probably learned some things. I think that Ohio State has always been, and this is a great tribute to Chris, they've always been, in the last 2 years that I've gone against them, very solid team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't. They play very solid defense. On offense, they're solid on offense. You know, they usually shoot the ball decent. So the word solid comes to mind when I think of Ohio State.
More than 2 guys, you think, are taking their games up?
Well, the brother inside is a lot better. He is, I'm trying to think of his name now.
Caleb Wesson.
The Wesson, the skinny Wesson. Get him mixed up. The smaller Wesson has been really playing well, and their wing guy, number 1, got so many games on my mind. He too has really upgraded his game. I mean, he's shooting 57% from the 3 in the last 5 games. I mean, that would be good if you shot 57% from the layup line. So he's much improved, which made them much improved. Jackson's always been a very good player and still is.
Nick was so good in that matchup last time down there. Is that he and the bigger Wesson?
Yeah, well, you know, the bigger Wesson had a lot of points too, and you know, so we looked at some things we did wrong there. He had 25. Nick was good though in everything he did down there. He was our most solid player. He was up on ball screens. He did his job rebounding. He did his job defending. I thought it was one of Nick's better games, and hopefully that means he's focused in on what he's got to do. But, you know, Nick has been very good these last 2 games, and I think will continue to be good. I mean, I heard somebody say, and it wasn't one of you, but, you know, his word out of Izzo's doghouse. You know, Nick has been, he's an interesting kid, and really never been a problem. It's consistently doing what he does well. And what he does well, he's really good at. When he runs the court, you saw a couple of times in Wisconsin when he was off the charts. When he steps up on ball screens, we're a different team. When he gets the ball in the post, when he makes free throws, it's now the chore is to be consistent with those things. And I think he's getting more consistent, and once in a while there's a relapse of forgetting what got him to where he is. So if he quits running, yeah, I'm going to tell him he's got to run harder. That doesn't necessarily put him in my doghouse. If you're looking at the reason I didn't start him, that was just a motivational tactic on my part in talking to him. It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't. I don't operate that way. So it wasn't anybody in here, but I've heard it over the waves that, you know, he's in and out of my. If he's in my doghouse, I'll tell you he's in my doghouse. And you know, I think for the most part, my relationship with Nick Ward and his with me has been really good. He just reverts back once in a while, and when he does, I'm pulling the chain, you know. And so I think if you talk to Nick, you'll find out that Nick's in maybe the best place he's been in since he's been here. And some of that came from some failure, some of it came from success, and some of it came from learning the difference in the two.
Defensively, is it that big of a shift from a guy like Hap to Wesson?
Yeah, it's completely different. Because Hap's going to get the ball full court. We had Nick working against our guards here in that game. Wesson is going to get the ball, though he too is shooting the ball a little better. He's 7 for 9 from the 3 in the last 4 or 5 games. So he's shooting the ball better. So Nick's going to have to guard a guy in and out, but he doesn't put on the floor as good as Hap. He doesn't pass quite as good as Hap. He's a good passer, but Hap's an outstanding passer.
You mentioned that Kenny's about 45-50% from 3 in the last 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
What is the difference now for him outside?
Well, you know, I think he has worked on a little more, but you can ask him that. But I think more importantly, he's taking good inside-out shots. Nick made a couple passes, one to him, one to Kyle Arns, that was, you know, big time. And Nick, you know, that's the strength Nick has done. He's handled those ball screens so much, or those double, when they're double teaming him, so much better. And I think Kenny's been the recipient of some. Cassius has done a good job getting it in and out. We've run some things where we've spaced Kenny. Maybe we're doing a better job of getting him the ball in the right position. Probably a combination of a lot of things.
Does that help minimize some of the loss of Josh with him shooting out there a little
Well,
bit?
it does. It does. If he, you know, and yet we can't get him shot happy out there, but it definitely minimizes some of the loss of Josh. You know, we're not as good a three-point shooting team. And Kenny, now that he's shooting better, yeah, definitely helps it.
It's been a while since you just played 7 like this before. Does it change at all kind of how you go about preparation and practice when you know that you've got a short bench like that? You're only playing 7 at this point.
No, I don't know if we're just playing 7. We just played 7 in that one game. 2 games before that, we played 9, you know. I mean, it's going to change on personnel, what we're going against, what we think. We still feel comfortable that we can, you know, Foster had a minute or 2 good there. He's had a bunch of good minutes the game before. Gabe didn't get in. We still think we got to get Gabe more minutes. But as you saw again today, Josh didn't practice. You know, that's part of our problem, you know, is getting any consistency. You got to have guys practicing every day. So considering that, I think our guys have done a hell of a job. But we got to figure out how we're going to probably play 8, maybe 9 once in a while, even if it's only for a few minutes, because you know and I know I complain about it, but it's my deal. 20 minutes, second half wasn't great for Cassius, but that was one of those games they didn't run, and it made it easier to do that.
That first matchup.
Yeah.
In that first matchup with Wesson, looking back at the game, it looked like that Nick just ran Wesson out of that game.
Well, he ran him, I don't want to say out of the game since Wesson had 25, but I think Nick did hurt him getting up and down, you know, and Nick can do that. Wesson's a big kid, man, but I have to tell you, Wesson's pretty skilled too when I look at his left hand, when I look at the threes he can make. So, you know, that right now is going to be the biggest challenge for Nick. And I'm really looking forward to how he handled it. He just went against a guy that took it 94 feet and did more off the dribble. Now he's going to take a brute that is big, man, and big and strong. So he's had to cover 2 different guys in 2 different games. And one of the good things about Nick, I mean, defensively, Nick's pretty good. It's just the stepping up on the ball screens that sometimes we forget a little bit. But in the post, Nick's as good a defender as there is.
At the end of the half there, he and Kyle miscommunicated on a couple of things. You guys survived it, but another teaching moment that you can't. Were they jamming, trying to jam right there? Or they get
well, it wasn't. It was Kyle, you know, and it's because Kyle doesn't get to practice very much.
Sure.
Kyle's actually done an unbelievable job considering the lack of practice time he gets. But you know, those guys having a feel for one another, and that's where you're missing Josh too. You know, you can switch, you can do a lot of different things. You can change coverages within a game. If you got guys that are on the same page, the minute you throw a couple freshmen in there, or a guy that hasn't practiced, it creates problems. And that's kind of what we had happen a few times there.
John Beelan got booted for about the first time in 40 years the other night. Do you remember the last time that you got an ejection?
I never got ejected. I got technicals, but I never got ejected. But that surprises me. I mean, I feel bad for him, to be honest with you, because you know, I think coaches got to know officials. Officials got to know coaches. Probably a guy like John, if he was complaining, there's probably a good reason. And usually if there's a good reason, an official will take a little more than if there wasn't a good reason. And I didn't see the whole thing. I saw a little bit of the screen that was set, but I'd have to stick up, you know, for John, that he's shown over 40 years. That's not how he reacts. So it's a tough situation, and I don't know what impact it had on the game. But maybe the first one was to get his team going, but not the second one.
So I'm sorry if you addressed this over in Wisconsin, but with Kenny, is it going to be a thing where, is it going to be like Kyle, where he's just going to have to sort of work through it throughout the year with his elbow, or is it something that can get better?
His elbows definitely will get better. Okay. Kyle's is going to be working throughout the year. But Kenny, no, that thing will get better as long as he, you know, it's like a bad bruise. The only difference is it's a bruise on the bone instead of on the muscle. When you have a bruise on your bone, it's usually a little deeper. It takes a little while longer. It didn't hit her much. One time late in the game, he went on the floor and wrapped it pretty good. They're able to pad it decently. But I see Kenny getting better all the time as long as he doesn't come down on me again.
He's giving some clutch moments, 2 or 3 of the last 4 games. He's hit like a go-ahead 3-pointer or a dagger the other night. I mean, he's coming through like A.J. Granger a little bit.
Yeah, Kenny really is. Kenny's been great. He's good defensively. He's been a best rebounder. And he's a defensive guy that can switch and do a lot of things, guard a lot of different people. Kenny will... If I was voting for the unsung hero of my team, it would be Kenny, because he's so versatile. He does things, and he's a very valuable member of our team.
You've talked about the closeness of your team and the chemistry. Did that show when you guys had your little losing streak? Did you see that get stronger? Because that'll test some guys.
Well, I think what it did is it made everybody look in the mirror. All the players, but all the coaches. And, you know, you just got to look in the mirror and figure out where you got to get, what you got to do. And usually, if you lose at Purdue, because they're just better, but if you lose because you missed free throws, you lose because you didn't run the court, you lose because you didn't step up on ball screens. If you lose those kind of games or you turn it over too much, then you got to look within. If you lose some games because the other team played well, then you got to compliment the other
team. Togetherness remained strong. I imagine that came in handy.
Really strong. I mean, today's practice is one of our best of the year. And I don't know. We gave them all yesterday off. Usually you have a bad practice after a day off, but I think our guys realize now. Now we're getting down to the last 6 games. My theory, every time I've been here, every year I've been here, was if in the last 2 weeks you want to be in the hunt. Well, now it's almost 3 weeks because it's longer season, 2.5 weeks left. So it's that time of year when we're in the hunt. So is Michigan, so is Purdue, so is, you know, probably Maryland a little bit, Iowa a little bit, but, you know, we're in the hunt. 2 weeks left, you want to be mathematically, always have a chance. And then the last week, you see what happens. And that's been my motto since I got here, since I won our first championship. But, you know, we put ourselves in a position, and now we got to see if we can finish it.
In what ways did you like practice today?
Well, I just thought that, you know, anytime Cassius and Nick have good practices, the practices are usually good. And I don't say that putting all the pressure on them, but I do say that putting all the pressure on them. They're the best players. So that's not any surprise. Some people take it differently, but Nick was really focused in, which he's been a lot of practices. But I thought Cassius had a little more ambition today, a little more leadership, and I think he had a little fun in practice, and that was great.
When Nick looked back at the video of the Wisconsin game, can he see that he had more jump and more go and more horsepower and what it resulted?
Yeah, but remember this, a player never does it on purpose. You know, it's not like a player says, I'm not going to run, or I'm not going to step up on that. They lose focus sometimes. If, you know, I think I told you guys, Urban said to him, you know, can you consistently play at a certain level? That's the difference between the good, the great, and the elite teams. And that's what we're trying to shoot for now. Can we get more consistent on a regular basis at a very high level?
So like that thing where maybe they feel like they're running hard, and then you show them on film. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I was.
You can ask Josh. I mean, when Josh, his freshman year, you swore every day he was running hard. I thought he was pushing a piano. You know, so that's the way it was. But film shows it, and yet it's the consistency. So we'll just keep grinding on it. But I think they know it now, and I think they understand it. I think Irvin and Greg's message was good, because it's always nice to hear it from someone else than the coach. But it's all in all, we're making some progress, guys. Whether we can sustain it, we'll see. One game at a time.
Did you get a chance to see Beeline's ejection at all?
I didn't. I heard about it. Very uncharacteristic.
There's not much good footage of it, though. It's kind of
you know, I just, to be honest with you, I heard it was a question mark call. When it's usually a question mark call, even if it was right call, you know, especially, you know, he's not the type of guy to get too technicals. So I'd have to, without seeing it, I'd have to say I feel sorry for him, because he's proven over time, and most Big Ten officials, like, we know the officials and they know us. And but I did not see it, so I can't comment.
Have you been run? I can't. No. I was gonna say I can't remember that at all.
How about that?
Not even in high school, back in the UP.
Beeline, that jerk getting run like that. Oh man. No, I really do. I really look at it like I just can't believe John Beeline would push the envelope unless he was right. It's just proven to be who he is. He's been a class guy the whole time. So. That part of it, you know, I can see getting one technical, because sometimes you're doing it on purpose to motivate your team. And I don't know if it was that, because I didn't see the whole thing, but he'll be all right.
Do you have your guys kind of like, after if you get one, do you just say, hold me back and make sure I don't?
Yeah, you know, DJ's bigger than me, so he always does a good job of that. But there's been a couple times I told him to get their damn hands off me too. But I think we usually know when you can push it. And usually if you're right, you can push it farther. So I don't know what happened, but I can't picture him going that crazy to get kicked out unless he was completely right.
I don't know the guy's name, but he got in your face earlier this year.
A lot of guys get in my face.
Hey, I wanted to ask you real quick.